The answer is no. Or more specifically, not yet. Or you know what? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if they should. So recently, there's been allegations against Dan Avidan from Game Grumps, and I'm not gonna go through all the details about it. I would recommend that you watch Tipster's video, Tipster News video on it, that goes into more depth. I'm just gonna assume whoever's watching this knows all that stuff, and I'm gonna skip straight to like my opinion, my personal opinion on the matter. So the first case that I heard was Dan messaging a girl that was 17, saying her something like, "I'm gonna be near your city. I suppose touring." That message wasn't sexual. When she was 18, he sent her another message wishing her a happy birthday, uh, have a lovely day. And then when she was 22, they met up and they had sex. Now, I don't know how you define grooming. If you define grooming as somebody that met a minor and even since they were a minor, they were implanting the idea of sex or having sex with them, by that definition, you can't call Dan a groomer. But if you're using it like another definition in the sense that he kept a fan, that he knew that she was a fan ever since she was 17-year old. He kept her on a leash, like kept contact with her until she grew up to be 22, and then decided to have sex with her. By that definition, yeah, you could probably say he's a groomer because he did he did keep in contact with her. Like he kept her at bay, knowing she was a fan that wanted his attention. You know what I mean? And it lines up with the other allegations made against him about girls saying similar things because they all said they were in their early 20s. And they talk about, I think one girl on a Reddit post talks about, or I don't know if it was Reddit or it was some kind of archive like that, that he wanted to have threesomes with the girl, and he kind of like would get into their heads and try to make them, I don't know, for lack of a better word, more loose with their sexuality, suggesting threesomes and stuff like that. Granted, again, they're all of legal age, um, over 20, but they're also his fans. You know what I mean? And when you're 21, sure you're legal, but you're still young and impressionable. You know what I mean? And especially when you're talking about somebody that you look up to, somebody that's like a celebrity in your eyes, somebody that you love as a YouTuber, you know. But now also take into account Dan Avidan himself and this character that he made up for his band called Danny Sex Bang. Um, I can easily imagine Dan while growing up wanting to be a rock star. And I know he mentioned in a Game Bros episode, he mentioned Def Leppard, which is a band that he liked, and which is a good band. But it's Def Leppard is a band that boasted about having sex with a daughter and a mother that were their groupies. So when you think about these rock stars and all the groupies that they had, Led Zeppelin did it too. They would they would even date underage girls and paraded them around proudly, to other rock stars and parties. When you think about that rock culture that Dan, I imagine, idolized growing up, and then he grows up and actually becomes a rock star and names himself Danny Saxbang, I'm really not surprised he's sleeping with his fans. Which, because if you want to call fans groupies in this situation, it sort of fits too, you know. And see, if Dan was a rock star, just a straight up rock star, he wasn't a YouTuber, I don't think this news would people would hear about this news because this is just what rock stars do. They sleep with groupies, and this is sort of something we all know, and just turn a blind eye to it because it's just we kind of accept it as part of the industry. But when it's a YouTuber, suddenly it's like the end of the world. You know what I mean? And it's strange to me. I'm not saying that we should defend one over the other. That's not my point at all. It's just a little strange how we have these weird standards that we have. Another thing that's very strange to me that I think plays into this is the fanatism that comes with these YouTubers, these fanboys and fangirls that look at these YouTubers as like they're their friends. They get me like I see it on the comments. I have a very depressed life, like I have a very awful life, and the only thing that makes me smile is putting on your videos. Um, they just they just pour their heart out in the comments for these YouTubers that don't give a fuck about them. Honestly, they don't. I know the whole YouTuber thing is that you feel you're connected with the person, but I really don't understand that. To me, like, I see YouTubers as entertainers. They're not my role models. I don't think these people are saints, even if they portray it. Because if you look at Dan, I follow Game Grumps. I was a fan of Game Grumps for years, and I still like them. I don't hate them or anything. I just don't watch them as I used to. Dan portrays himself as a really sweet guy, and he has this really sweet tone in his voice, and he has this kind of cutesy behavior about him, and his humor and everything. So I can imagine you believing he's like that, but at the same time, don't like you shouldn't fall into that because you don't know this guy. You know what I mean? Uh, and more than that, you don't know this guy. You shouldn't like automatically assume he's a great guy. You already put him on a pedestal just to knock him down. That's eventually what's gonna happen because here's the thing. Here's what I think. When people blindly love you, they'll blindly turn against you too. Like that easy. The people that really blindly love you is the first one that turn when when something's exposed about you. Okay, the people that like you, that like that person and they're rational and they don't rely too much on them, that would be. I think I would fall along those lines. We are kind of uh, we were kind of skeptical about the things I hear, and we kind of. I'm not surprised if we hear some kind of allegations about them because we didn't idolize them in the first place. So we don't really need to vilify them to the point where we see them as monsters or demons, or even worse, calling them pedophiles because that's the thing that struck me about this. Groomer, the term groomer, like I said at the beginning, you could maybe, depending on your definition, you can maybe apply it to this situation. I can see that. But a pedophile? These girls, he didn't have sex with these girls when they were minors. He didn't send any sexual messages to them when they were minors. I mean, from the allegations that I've heard so far, and here's the bad thing about it: when you mislabel somebody something like that, you're actually giving them an out because now all that Dan has to do it's just make an apology video and say I'm not a pedophile. Okay, that's the thing when you call somebody a pedophile like that, right? And you can't prove it, and any rational person that looks at the evidence see that it doesn't line up with being a pedophile, we end up defending Dan as not a pedophile. And when we do that, we end up brushing aside the other stuff, the other wrong stuff that he did. It distracts, falsely labeling a person like that, that distracts from the other actual about bad things that they did. So that's what I mean when you give them an out. So it makes it seem like okay, he did this thing, but at least he's not a pedophile, so he's not that bad. That's what's dangerous about using this mislabeling things. You are not gonna People are not gonna be held accountable for the right thing, and all they have to do is dispute that fact. I'm not a pedophile, and they'll probably get away with it. And that sort of brings me back to the first question on the video or the title of the video. Should Dan be fired for Game Grumps for this? Um, and more on that point, exactly what is Game Grumps gonna do with all of this? Is them gonna come up with some kind of sweet voice apology, really sincere, looking at the camera, focusing on the part that I'm not a pedophile because there were minors, um, probably addressing the whole thing about uh, taking advantage of them as an influencer. Probably he's gonna probably address that too, but like more to the side. His main thing would probably be to focus on there were minors, or alternatively, um, is Aaron gonna distance himself from him? Is he gonna actually fire him? Because it's bad for the brand, to have something like this out there, especially with counter culture, especially with with how the Game Grumps portray themselves, where they do actually try to portray themselves as very progressive people that would actually kind of fall in line with this whole cancel culture thing. Um, so I am inclined to think, since Dan and Aaron has been like a duo for so long, that Aaron is probably gonna have his back. They're probably gonna give him a platform to make an apology on. Maybe it could be like on a second channel. I don't know. They have like 3 channels by now. On one of them, maybe. Of course, if that apology comes out, everybody's gonna scrutinize it to hell. All the commentary channels. Maybe I will too. Although I don't do commentary all the time. I just do commentary on the stuff that interests me. So yeah, I'm curious what's gonna happen. What's gonna be the response? I really don't know, and I don't really know. I don't really know if he should get fired from it. Uh, I would think not, because I don't know. I want Green Grumps to win. I'm not a super fan of any. I'm not defending what he did or anything, but I don't know, losing his whole career over it. When he technically was sort of like, as far as for now, he's been the allegation as to him is sort of like he's been a player douchebag that's just a womanizer, you know. That yeah uses his influence for it, but they were all legal of age, so I don't know if he should lose his whole career over it. I'm not really sure. I'm inclined to say no, but honestly, I don't know what would be the best moral answer for it. So yeah, I guess that's my opinion on this.